Greetings, this is Jim Cowden, North Central District Extension Director, and today I'm going to talk to you about the Extension Reporting System. What we're going to learn today, our objectives today, to learn more about the ERS reports and what they're used for, to learn the importance of program outcomes and impacts in ERS, how important that is, to learn the recent changes to ERS, as well as the upcoming changes to ERS. Now we're going to look at all 11 sections presently being used in the extension reporting system. And the first section is client contact information. These are also called sometimes our teaching contacts, where we have face-to-face and known non-face-to-face. So this is what the entry screen looks like on the teaching contacts information, and up in here you have the objective or objectives that you put into your plan of work. You have the month that you're reporting for. Note that the month defaults to the present month that you're reporting. So if you're reporting in August, it's going to default to August, but if you want to report July, then you click on that and move that down to July and report that. So we're looking at all the teaching contacts that are face-to-face, both for gender and race. And so to do that, it's probably good that you keep a sign-in sheet to justify the information, and you're basically asking the participants to self-identify. The known non-face-to-face are folks that we know who they are, and you can identify them either through a mailing or whatever. The other part of this, and this happens, it populates itself as you do the reporting, is the congressional districts are reported. There was some change to congressional districts 1 and 12 recently with the June election, and that has already taken place. So once you put your data in there, you can get those candidates, those congressional districts, if they have a part of their congressional district in your county, that information will be sent to that folks in Congress. We also have economic zones, several of them across the state, and again, those populate themselves depending on where your county falls into that. Now, what constitutes face-to-face? Well, I think you're all familiar with our meetings, our workshops, conferences, etc. we conduct. These are required as a federal civil rights report. They're acquired annually, and more often if someone actually asks for them. A congressman may ask for a report in mid-year, and may go ask about through a budget year from October 1 to September 30th, and we try to give them the information that they asked for. Known non-face-to-face include all other known contacts not included in the face-to-face, and it does exclude mass media. And so this would include telephone calls, newsletters, fax messages that you send or receive, computer messages sent, it's like emails, fact sheets, pamphlets mailed or distributed, or video or audio cassettes loaned or distributed. So next part of this is what happens if you have a specialist helping to conduct a program? Who makes who has the ability to share the contacts? If 2 or more agents or program assistants are responsible for teaching a segment, a distinctly different subject matter segment of a program activity. Each individual may claim total number of contacts in the client contact section. If one agent or program assistant does all the teaching and the other agents or program assistants just attend the activity but are not involved in teaching, only the agent or program assistant who does the actual activity can count the contacts. Now, when a specialist is conducting a program with agents, the agents are responsible for scheduling, advertising, facilitating a meeting or program activity in their county, and a specialist assists the agent in conducting the meeting or activity. Only the agent should report the total number of contacts, except for special industry-based programs. It's the philosophy of the Cooperative Extension that programs are county-based, so clientele teaching contacts are expected to be reported by field faculty. Now, some other things just to be aware here. Under client contact information, these should be done each month. You don't want to go too long not reporting, because you may forget some of the things that you did, and it's always good to keep a tab of activities and programs that you do. Down at the base of each of the data entry sections is a help menu, and some of the things I've just told you here is answered here. Frequently asked questions, and so be aware that that's at every section at the bottom. I'll show this to you again back here at the bottom where it says one-stop shop, help, and log out. And the other important thing is remember to save to the database, because if you do not save your work, it'll go away. So make sure you save it when you finish putting in all your numbers and so forth. All right, let's move on to the next section. That's the outcome and impact reporting section. The purpose of this report is to recognize and quantify extension efforts, provide a mechanism for combining extension efforts at the county level into a statewide report to help gather social, economic, and environmental impact data and program progress and future progress that's needed. The objectives for this section is to understand how to report outcomes and impacts and understand the difference in writing narratives and success stories. So under the outcomes and impacts section, you go to one-stop shop. You select the ERS data entry, and again there's three icons at the top of each of the program areas here. One of them is for putting in your data, one is for the middle is for editing, and one of them is for getting you the reports from your county, reports from university, reports from the state, a total. How you come up with your outcomes and impacts? Well, you add a new objective record. Objectives are pre-selected in the plan of work, and the plan of action will be shown. Everybody has to have at least one state major program objective that's in their plan of work that they report under. And under that plan of work, in plan of action, there will be a list of objectives, impact objectives, that you will select for to show impacts made from your programs. If you select show all objectives, this allows reporting towards any objective even if it was not selected in the plan of work. Let me go to that and show that to you. So here's all the objectives that you can see in 2016 that you had the opportunity to report under. just showed that. You clicked on Show All Objectives. Under each one of these, it has a team objective, and if you have a team that you're working with of other agents or co-workers in your county as a part of a team, and you can list all their names when you go into put them in as team. Here's an example. So this is a local food system, and if you wanted to add members who have Unity IDs, you can add them in right here to add them as part of the team. If it's a member who does not have a Unity ID, maybe an outside person or whatever, you can add them in here in the drop-down menu. They also have the section on reporting all outcomes and impacts for your particular objective, and this is the individual objective that you can see. This is for local foods. Again, number of producers, number of individuals, and then economic data that shows how much they've grown or produced. At the bottom, there's two narratives, and narratives cannot be no longer than 150 words, or they'll be truncated upon saving. They are accomplishments, description of impacts or progress toward the plan of work objective, including but not limited to social, economic, and environmental impacts. There has been some discussion about dropping narratives. Some folks get confused between narratives and success stories. The narratives are based on an overview of the entire objective. Success stories can be just a part of the objective. It could be the impact it's made with one family, let's say, or the impact it's made on a group of individuals. This is just a highlight of the program. This particular area should be filled out every 6 months at a minimum. So every June and every December, the end of the year, end of the reporting year, you should complete. June, you should do your first narrative on your objectives. The second narrative would be written in the second half of the year. Some people write both their narratives in the first half of the year, and that's okay. As long as maybe they primarily have got most of the impacts that they want listed for this particular year. The non-limited and limited resource audiences, the best thing to do there is to go into the help menu and see some of the information. How do you kind of determine that? And I want to point out here there's something I said earlier which isn't true. The team members listed may only be cooperative extension employees, and members to be selected will come down from a drop-down box. Individuals may be added or removed as team members at any time during the year by using the modified function. Only individuals listed as a team member will receive credit for team outcomes and impacts whenever a report may be created. So you don't need to list other folks. They won't get any credit for it anyway because it's in our system. So this is where you start seeing some of the how you determine non-farm limited resources. It's based on income level, educational level, and social factors. And farm limited resource is any small farm with gross sales less than $100,000, total farm assets less than $150,000, and a total operator household income less than 80% of threshold for family income for the county in which they reside. And here's the 80% median household income for the various counties. Then you find your county, you can find the median household income and 80% of that income. Okay. The next section some more on the outcomes and impacts. Here's some more on the limited resource, not just the income and 80% of the median house income by county, but educational levels by county. Those that have less than a 9th grade education or 9th through 12th grade with no diploma, and the percent high school graduates or higher. And there's what I was telling you about the narratives, 150 words or less, and the first narrative due by June 30th, second narrative due by December 31st. So some of the narrative description you can state the progress made in the program and additional progress to be made, state user or customer reactions and responses to the program, connect outcomes and impacts to program goals and objectives, and explain in writing the outcomes and impacts. Success stories, which we'll talk about next, they follow the SRER, situation, response, evaluation, results. And just like before, you make sure you save this to the database when you're completed and any entry. Again, every 6 months minimum need to report. The next area we're going to talk about is writing success stories. Success stories give a clear and concise picture of the positive impacts that cooperative extension programs have on individuals or groups. And success stories can be used to convey the value of cooperative extension programs to multiple groups, including clients, stakeholders, and funding partners. This is one area that folks get a good idea, get a snapshot of what we actually do and what kind of impacts we make with individuals or groups of people. So success has a positive impact on our clients or our community. Success can impact an individual, can impact a group, or the larger population as a whole. You can describe the success for an individual. You can describe success in a program component, and it can describe success for a macro program. Success stories should be concise, informative, impact-oriented, and written by lay people. Written for lay people. Success story should tell a story, document differences resulting from a program, inform public funders of a program, demonstrate value, and hold one accountable. So success story reporting, you select an objective, you select the year, select the county. This one has an 1,800 character limit. It's calculated by the template. This is not words now, this is character. So this is where you put it into the box. Let me bring the bigger one up here so you can see it. There it is. So you can add a team member if there's a team you're writing the success story for. You give it a title, and you answer these questions: the situation, What is the problem? Why should Cooperative Extension care about it or be concerned about this issue? And it can include data which document the need. Maybe you say, well, give an example that the childhood obesity rate is higher than the state average in this particular county. Response, how did Extension respond to the concern or issue? Who were the partners, if any? Some examples. What audience was reached, and how many participants, and what communities are reached. So it really gives you some guidelines on how you're going to pull your story together. Evaluation methods, how did you collect data? Did you use surveys, pre- or post-tests, focus groups, interviews, whatever? How many participants completed the evaluation and did the surveys? And then what are the results? What are the program outcomes? Who benefit from the program? Use numeric and or narrative data to describe the program outcomes, and make sure you answer the so what. Describe a public value. Already went over that. Situation, response, evaluation methods, and results. Answers these questions in situation and response and evaluation and results. And to the help area of this one, there's this sheet. It's a success story checklist. There's also some tips for writing success stories. Again, follow the situation, response, evaluation, and results format. Present a program impact. Make sure you have an impact that you, in the end, don't worry about writing the story. Avoid acronyms unless described after the acronym. Focus on the Cooperative Extension programs and our roles in that. And if you have impacts, they're monetary, make sure you have a monetary value placed on them. Use Cooperative Extension instead of I or the agent. Use Cooperative Extension in the narrative. Focus on outcomes rather than activities. Again, write it for lay people and external audiences. Don't talk technical that you talk over most of the readers that would be reading it. Avoid using clients or specialist names. Avoid using lots of numbers and percentages. Describe it as simply as possible. Name only the key partners. Check for spelling and grammar. And leave time for the CED to approve. You do submit this as agents, program assistants, and technicians. You submit it, your success story, to the County Extension Director for their approval. Then they may return it for you to add things to it, or they may go ahead and approve it. Tips for writing success stories, more tips. Talk about job gain, dollars earned or saved, educational improvement, social enhancement, environmental enhancement. It's okay to build on previous success stories as there's additional impact to report. So again, if you write a success story about one particular objective, you may write about that same objective at the end of the year and add further details of what might have happened. The expectation is to have 2 to 4 high-quality success stories per state major program objective. And I know we have people who have a report under 4 or more state major program objectives. In that case, you would try to have at least one high-quality success story for each state major program objective that you're reporting under. Next area we're going to take a look at is civil rights. These are 3 areas, including under the affirmative action report. This is a civil rights report that goes to the federal partners. Purpose is to provide a record of advisory group, racial and gender makeup, a record of identifiable extension groups, racial and gender makeups, provides a record of all reasonable efforts within our groups to try to get folks into compliance, and the information is required, as I said, for our federal civil rights compliance. To understand why civil rights reports are important, is part of the objectives and the components, and learn what should be reported for each section. To get the numbers for the community or county population, we use the latest U.S. Census data for the county. This one here, this is the census data for this particular county, broken out by gender and race. If you want to use other data, would include community data, you must be able to support your data by clear and concise, scientifically acceptable collection standards with boundaries clearly identifiable, which are acceptable to federal civil rights auditors. So, that being said, if you have after-school programs in a school district or a certain number of schools, and they can identify the racial and gender makeup of the students within that school, then you could use that as your community makeup. People who put down the number of small grain growers in their county as their crop advisory program committee is not really legit, because that's just, you're just picking out the folks that may have crops that you know of, and there may be lots of other ones that could grow crops or could be growing crops that you don't even know about. So some of the other areas here for community: voting districts, school population, which I mentioned, city demographics, or if you have commodity populations, again, with the numbers through like the Corn Growers Association or something like that, you may be able to use that. Civil Rights Affirmative Action Report 10 is for advisory councils and committees. Then you would go to report under 13, the identifiable extension groups. That'll determine if they're in compliance or not. And then you go back to 11 and 12. And for those who aren't in any groups that aren't in compliance, you show all reasonable efforts how you're trying to get them in compliance. So our 10 is the report our county advisory council, any program or specialized committees used by staff, and includes all committees used in an advisory capacity. Again, it's made up of the county or community population, made up of last year's membership, the reporting year's membership, the goal membership, and also remember to save it to the database. This is another report that's necessary to do every 6 months. So you should complete it in June and complete any edits to it by the end of the year. If it's the same at the end of the year as it was in June, then you don't have to do anything to it. So this is the breakdown, like I said. Numbers are broken down by race and gender. Then you move to 13. 13 reports identifiable extension groups. Groups that cooperative extension sponsors, includes 4-H and ECA clubs and other groups. To determine if they should be under 13, think of this as a survival test. Would the group survive as a viable entity if Extension was not involved in its organization, guidance, and maintenance? If the group meets the survival test, then do not list it in AAR 13, just since it is a semi-autonomous or autonomous group in which Extension only cooperates with in conducting educational programs. It does not control the group functions. Now, you may go one way or the other on some of that, but some of the key programs like 4-H, they can't really have a 4-H club per se without help from Extension. Components are, again, the year, the county, name of the group, makeup of the community, and the membership of the identifiable group. So, 13, this is what it looks like. Again, numbers are broken down by race and by gender. And if the membership group is not in compliance, then you need to complete 11 and 12. 11 and 12 documents efforts to improve compliance of the group. Includes proactive efforts that Extension will undertake to assure that everyone who wishes to participate in said group is adequately informed of the group functions, with participation open to anyone and restricted access will not be allowed. Again, you have the year, the county, the group, the target, either race or gender to be reached, previous year enrollment, reporting year enrollment, goal enrollment, and under the actual efforts. And remember to save to the database. And that's what this report looks like. There's some additional help link for that particular area. Now we're going to look at non-degree credit training activities. This should be for external audiences only, 3 or more participants involved, minimum of 1 hour of instruction. And you want to make sure that the teaching activity does not offer degree credit. That's why it says non-degree credit. You want to make sure the participants register before, during, or after the program that you conduct. And the activity is curriculum-based, meaning that it has instructional content and a syllabus that you're teaching from. So there's actually several areas to be concerned about, and these 3 are probably the most important in determining whether you include a non-degree credit activity or not. It should be done as it occurs. I think it's good to, as you're doing the client contacts at the beginning, if you have any kind of program, you had a number of clients together and had 1 hour of instruction or more with that group, then you should include them in non-degree credit. I will say that this particular area is going to have some changes done to it. Now you can't see this real well. I could bring it up here on the other one, kind of give you an idea. What it looks like. So again, you can title the program. You can determine whether it's a demonstration, a seminar, a workshop, or whatever it might be. You can put the date of the activities. If it's one day, you just include the same day. whether it's local, statewide, national, or international. Whether it's in the college, ag and life sciences, or forest resources. Whether it's NC State or NC-A&T, state universities. Where the activity occurred, which county or department. Whether it was sponsored or hosted. State or country, activity occurred. Number of registrants, number of contact hours, industry served. There's various industries here. Some of this is where it'll be eliminated in 2017. Did it have any professional continuing education hours? And the main impact of the program. And make sure you save it to the database. These are the type of activities. You can see them a little better. That's kind of give you an idea what some of these are. We should be familiar. Demonstrations, forums, lectures, meetings. In extension, we do all of these. A panel discussion, seminar, study travel tour, symposium, training course, training camps, workshop. Here's this activity code and some more of the activity code. Hosting, we provide service, resources, etc. to attendees. Sponsored, a person, firm, organization, etc. They're responsible for an activity. And industry served, more of the industry served, more of the industry served. Main impact of the program on the constituents served. So remember that one primarily is a teaching activity, does not offer degree credit, must be for a group of 3 or more persons. Participants should register for the program so you have their names. Activity is curriculum based, meaning it's instructional, has content or syllabus, and focus on external audiences. None of our extension people qualify meeting with those. Fiscal resources obtained. Understanding the fiscal resources. Understand, add, and edit, and view of options. These are the fiscal resources we report under: contracts and grants, user fees, United Way foundations, gifts, donations, and in-kind donations. Go to the other box where you can see it a little better. So there's where you select what you're going to report for, give a date, title, and amount and purpose. No word limit on that one, so you can, and make sure you save to the database. Points to remember on this area is to make sure you insert your data upon receipt of physical resources. Don't wait every 6 months to report. We do an annual Form 1A, which shows all grants received during a calendar year, which goes from July 1st of the year previous to June 30th of the year that we're in. And so if you get a grant, it's a good idea to fill out Form 1A, get it signed by the county, put it in the file, and be ready to turn in come July next year. Only one principal investigator should report, so there's no duplication of the monies. It doesn't matter who reports it. If somebody's a 4-H agent, they get the money for the 4-H program, the 4-H agent can report it as well as any other agent, but only one time. Include total award given, even if it's for multiple years. Break it down by the years the grant was. Some grants are multiple year grants. If program, list all awards, gifts, and donations separately for each program. User fees should be inclusive of all events for single program or activity, such as summer fun activities. Don't break them down by individual activities. Define the purpose in a clear and concise manner, and always save your data. Next area we're going to look at is certification. Gives proof and details of completion of an educational achievement. Got 41 different certification programs. It's broken down by the number of participants receiving training, number of participants who are recertified, and number of new certifications. Pull this one up. So here you can see the different certifications that we have to report under. Points to remember in this is put in the data upon completion of the program or receipt of certification. Don't need to wait every 6 months. Best thing to remember on these is just report them as they occur. And if you do that, if you sit down once a month and do most of your reporting, some of these oddball sections where you only have something every so often, you can go in and report that when it occurs. And make sure you save your data. Next area is 4-H core elements. How to successfully capture impacts for the 4-H core program. Bring this others up because it's so difficult to see the little one there. 4-H core elements. You can see different programs, community-based youth educational programs. Number of youth that participate in the area, application, resume, interview. Different retreats, youth presenting presentation contests at the county level, district level, state level, youth that completed project books, project records at the county level, district level, cumulative records, community-based educational programs, Health Rocks, Aspire, Juntos. I always like to see this, the number of 4-H clubs maintained, number of new clubs formed, We should try to set a goal, maybe have one new club each year. And, sometimes, depending on who ages out and things in clubs, sometimes you lose a club each year. So if you only have 4 or 5 clubs that you're working with in the county, you have to be recruiting to get new clubs. Also, partnerships, grants applied for, grants received. Actually, the grants follow the individual who puts them in. So if it's a 4-H agent, reported a grant, then it goes under their name and shows up under their name. 4-H core elements are essential components of a county program, and they provide a snapshot of county 4-H impacts. Okay, several years ago we started doing volunteer activity reports. Part of the problem was we had volunteers in various sections of the ERS, and we wanted to make sure that so here just mentioned about the help again. At the bottom of each section there's the help button. I'll show that when I go back to the report. Purpose of this is to recognize or quantify efforts of extension volunteers and combine their efforts in the county level into a statewide report to gather volunteer involvement. This is one of the reports that goes in with our outcomes and impacts to show our outreach with the volunteer effort we have. It goes to the UNC General Administration and is asked for by our legislature oftentimes. So this area is very, very important. These are the areas to report under 4-H. Our advisory leadership system, that includes our county advisory council, program committees or councils, our specialized committees, councils, Extension and Community Association that support our FCS programming, Extension Master Gardener Association, and others, which you need to include a description of who the others may be. It could be anything from cooperators, special volunteers that help us out, maybe someone who drives to haul things for us for activities we do, prepares food for us, or whatever it might be. Information includes the number of volunteers, number of volunteer hours, known client contacts by volunteers. Again, that known's in there, so it's people they know. They might talk to them on the phone, but they know who the contact was. And the dollar value, which has gone up from this slide here. It's based on the federal report. So now $23.56. I'll have to change that slide. Known client contacts of volunteers, a combination of face-to-face and known non-face-to-face. So their known client contacts include both face-to-face. They don't have a special area just putting face-to-face contacts in. And their face-to-face refers to office visits, meetings, tours, workshops, conferences, kind of like ours as agents are. And no mass media contacts. Members of teams should report volunteer contacts for each county. Area agents must complete a separate report for each county they work in. must click to save to database. You can edit, look at the statewide report. I did want to go back to the help on that one. I didn't have much there. I guess we kind of went over all that. Same as the client contacts. We got, excludes the mass media as far as contacts go on that. So this here is new because 3 sections were taken out of the extension reporting system in 2016. That included the K through 12, the calculators, and the mass media. But mass media can still be utilized to report. And this is what it looks like. So print objectives and newspaper articles published, newspaper circulation, website, the number of articles created for our county website, including total visits to our websites, TV, number of TV programs presented, and minutes of the TV programming, and total TV audience reached, and radio, number of radio programs presented, and total radio minutes, total radio audience reached. And number of cable programs presented, total cable minutes, spelled wrong, and total cable audience reached. And YouTube's videos produced. So by month you can report these numbers out, and then you can use that report if you have a local report you'd like to share with your county. It's still eligible to do that. So that's it in a nutshell as we kind of look at the 11 sections of the extension reporting system. Want to say that these sections are, again, contact information should do monthly, outcomes and impacts every 6 months, success stories as they occur, non-degree credit every month, physical resources as they occur, civil rights every 6 months. Contact information and civil rights reports are both federal reports. Certification programs as they occur, volunteer activity as it occurs, or a lot of people at least do them monthly just to keep track of it, and 4-H core elements as they occur. So I hope you get something out of this session on extension reporting system for cooperative extension. If you have any questions, or if you would like a copy of the PowerPoint, in addition to what's attached here in this video, then I'll be glad to send it to you. Or if you have any questions, you can contact me. Again, this is Jim Cowden, so Jim_Cowden, COWDEN, at ncsu.edu. Or you may call me on my mobile at 919-604-3031, and be glad to discuss any concerns you may have. My office is actually at the Mountain Horticulture Crops Research Station and Extension Center in Mills River, North Carolina. And the phone there is 828-687-0570. Thank you, and you have a good day.